tonight. It's going to be between Team IgniteGaming versus Team FunkyTownMoneyPimps. And we're into the champion select, ban and pick phase. So for the blue team, we have Blitzcrank and Jana, two strong supports stand out. And for the red team, we have Y and Z. Blitzcrank, really good support. Jaso can totally change the type of the game. If he hooks people like the AD carry or AP carry into his team, results for an easy kill and only push and objective control. So we have LeBlanc coming out from as a ban from the blue side as well. LeBlanc, a very strong mid assassin, very snowbally type of champion. From the red team, we have Zed being banned out. Zed, a very strong AD carry assassin mid lane. At level 6, his ultimate can pretty much one-shot the opponent mid laner if he has Ignite and lands his combo properly. And another assassin mid laner being banned out by the red team, that's Ari. Really strong, effective CC. She has a gap closer as well, and tons of burst damage. So for the blue team, the first pick we have is Morgana, most likely going to be played as support. We do know that Radiant 6 played Morgana in the first game today, and he played her exceptionally well, landing amazing binds and really supporting his AD carry, that is Gunslinger, who played Caitlyn earlier today. So looking forward to watching his Morgana gameplay again. On the red team, we have Leona and Annie picked up. Leona, really strong support, gets very tanky, has tons of CC. It's going to be a hard lane for Leona to lane against the Morgana just because Morgana's Black Shield mitigates so much of Leona's CC. But we'll look forward to see how that lane plays out. We have Annie. Now Annie, she's such a versatile hero. She can be played at the mid lane and she can be played on top. She can get really tanky or really bursty as well. And her ultimate, that Stivers, it's a great tool for initiation. So looking forward to see where the red team, that's FunkyTown, places Annie in the mid lane and the top lane. The blue team pick a strong jungler. Looks like it's going to be Jarvan the 4th as jungle. Can be played top, not sure. He's currently stronger in this meta in the jungle, so looking forward to seeing him be played in the jungle. And Gunslinger on his legendary Caitlyn, he played it in the first match with Morgana, so it's still a bot lane as the first match. And Caitlyn, Morgana being a really strong poke lane with good disengage too, so that's going to be a good bot lane to contest a Leona Jinx. Now the red team bot lane is going to be a Leona Jinx. Now what Leona Jinx brings to their kit is a lot of CC and a lot of burst. At level 6, a Leona Jinx can pretty much kill the Caitlyn if they land all their CC. Jinx Rocket plus Leona ult, that's a lot of damage. So I'm gonna have Zedias, my really good friend, cast with me today. So Zedias, what do you think about both team comps so far?
Firstly, from the moment that the Champion Select started, I'm surprised at the heavy support-focused bans, the Blitzcrank Jana and the first pick Morgana coming in from IgniteGaming. I'm assuming I'm assuming this support player is their playmaker on the side of FunkyTownMoneyPimps so far. I haven't particularly watched the match, but the reason these bans must mean that they really don't want their support to go with their comfort picks and pretty much push him into playing the Leona, as we see here. So, and the third ban, LeBlanc, well, fairly common solo queue ban as well. I don't quite see why we would ban on team ranked. Granted, yes, her mobility will become is definitely a huge problem, but so I still don't quite see. But yeah, I mean, the possibility very much exists that IgniteGaming might play a really, really good LeBlanc as well. So I'm assuming IgniteGaming did some deep insight, has some fair bit of insight against FunkyTownMoneyPimps.
But yeah, their research.
But on the side of FunkyTownMoneyPimps against IgniteGaming banning the Vice and Nari, that's actually 2 bans against Loki, the mid laner, who has chosen to go Ezreal. Well, I've personally only seen him on Z or Ari myself, so I haven't really seen him play any other champ besides those two, to be quite honest. And actually, Highness is known to pick Vi in a lot of team rank games. In fact, I pretty much remember him only going to Vi. And only the last match where I actually saw him go play a fairly good Rexa as well.
Yeah. So I think what we get to take from this ban and pick phase is both teams have fairly done a good amount of research. Like they've banned Yuki and the junglers main champions. These guys have focused their support and their mid laner.
It's getting real, man.
Yep, it's getting interesting. Like teams are actually getting serious, doing their research before going into these games. So these matches, they're going to be action-packed and exciting. So we see Annie in the mid lane now, and we see Rumble top the teleport versus Lulu top. How do you think that lane's going to fare out, Sadice on top?
The thing about Rumble is that yes, he is known to be a little weak in the early game and pretty much trying to struggle a little bit. And he's also against a Lulu who is pretty notorious for her poke that she deals in lane through either her own minions or with an EQ combo onto Rumble. So while Lulu is known to be very annoying in lane, if she gets that minor push that she really needs in the form of 2 or 3 kills in the early game, you can pretty much see her zoning Rumble out for like over 50 CS pretty much, because we've seen Lulu's snowball a little bit and then pretty much gain complete lane dominance after a while. She's actually a little underplayed on both top and mid lane nowadays, because there was a change in her E, I believe, where before she could E enemy minions and pretty much you have extremely long range Qs done against people, which has hurt them so much, and Riot recently removed that, and now she rather does it on her own minions and if she is the enemy. So that pretty much repulsed Lulu players from playing Lulu anymore. But it's good to see her back. I'm actually kind of glad we're finally getting to see the Lulu tops in the LCL. I mean, in this LCL. So yeah, I'm totally expecting this to go Lulu's way early game, but as it scales into mid and late game, and definitely with enough items, Rumble will I'm expecting Rumble to completely out damage her by the end of it.
What's interesting is the red team has such an engaged comp. They have such an all-in kind of comp. Like they have Annie, Rumble, Leona, and Maokai to get in there. And the blue team is more on the squishy side, except for Jarvan with Lulu's ult, which I'm assuming because they have an Ezreal mid and a Morgana who's doesn't really get tanky enough until she has an Hourglass to actually go in there and disrupt team fights. So I'm really wondering how the blue team's going to survive against this initiate kind of red team comp. Maybe
personally,
they have maybe it's an early game thing. I don't know. What will you say?
Yeah, personally, I feel that Caitlyn is not really the best pick in the face of a Morgana and Lulu, because we commonly see Morgana, Lulu, and picks like Kayle and stuff going for the protect the AD comps, and ordinarily you'd only see a Vayne or a Kog'Maw in that category. But a Caitlyn is pretty much her late game isn't as strong, and it doesn't pretty much outshine the other AD carries as it used to, and especially not in this match against a Jinx. So I feel like the Caitlyn pick is a little out of place, because late game Lulu's and Morgana's pretty much look to make sure they absolutely protect and peel for the AD carry so that she can deal as much damage as required without much harm coming to her, both in the form of the Lulu ult and the Morgana Black Shield. So I'm not quite sure. Despite the Lulu and Morgana pick, comp-wise, they will still have to look to end this in the early to mid game, because late game the Jinx's damage and the Rumble's damage will pretty much be absolute terror for them, and it'll be impossible for the Caitlyn to deal with everything.
It's like you were saying, I think they've taken it into consideration that they're more of an early mid-game comp. Because as you were saying, Lulu is going to poke the Rumble at top. Caitlyn Morgana, extremely strong poke lane. So I guess with a couple of security wards around their river, preventing jungler ganks, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to push out and try to capsize on the early mid game. So let's see if they predicted right with their comp or not. So we're going to the game right now. And there's a pause, as usual.
Yeah, well, wouldn't be in any tournament if it didn't pause. Nor a Bangladeshi tournament. I'm not sure. Did the GCCs have as much pause as the LCL? Can't be. And certainly not enough back in the Logitech Cup about 2 years ago. That game saw 20-minute pauses from both teams being extinguished every step of the way.
Alright, so Loki, he's been like in the scene for quite a bit. We know him personally. So how do you think he's gonna like fare versus an Annie mid? He's taken cleanse if you look at his summoner stuff.
Yeah. That again, I don't quite see why you would, because especially as an Ezreal, because frankly, if you have the right ping and the right amount of reflex, I mean, if you have like fairly good reflexes and have played a bunch of Ezreal, you learn to work your way around critical CC that's being thrown at you. For example, like you can time your E as and when skill shot stunners are coming. If there's an Annie Q to hit you, you can time your E in such a way that you can pretty much already put yourself in a safe distance, so that it won't really be much of a threat to you. So the fact that Loki's going cleanse, I think he's just scared of ganks, pretty much, because Maokai Snare and the combo of Maokai and Annie with her stun up is pretty much brutal in a way, in a sense that it completely CCs you down, renders you useless, even with flash if they time it right. So he's pretty much fearing that.
Follow-up CC as well, so I think that's what he wants to avoid, that follow-up CC.
Yeah, he's basically looking to completely protect himself from ganks with the cleanse summoner spell. So his timings will have to be really key, because it is hard to time a summoner spell like cleanse. Not so much with QSS, because every time any AD carry would buy a QSS, it will be with the intent of blocking out a particular critical CC, like a Morgana Bind or a Z Death Mark. But in this case, now that you have the cleanse, you need to figure out the right time to actually cleanse yourself and get yourself out of situations. So yeah, not only will they have to play around the timing of cleanse, not only will FunkyTownMoneyPimps have to play around the timing of Loki's cleanse if they want to gank the mid lane, but Loki himself has to make sure that he plays safe enough when his cleanse is on cooldown, because those ganks aren't gonna stop once he does use it, I hope.
Definitely. So we like come to know if cleanse was a good option for him at mid lane or not shortly into this game, once the first ganks go out on him. So we're going to see an early invade here by the blue team. They're walking to the bot river. Red team's got them out with a good early ward by Captain Diablo. So let's see if anything comes off this early gank, if Morgana can land a snare. She's pretty close to landing one.
Well, the thing is, yes, okay, the blue team does have the means to go for an early invade, and with the Lulu Q, the Morgana Bind, and the Ezreal's general, and Ezreal Q, as well as Caitlyn's built up a Peacemaker, so they have solid damaging abilities for a level 1 team comp. However, now that they've spotted, I'm fully expecting FunkyTownMoneyPimps to walk around and pretty much avoid them, and understand that, okay, fine, they're probably going to stay. However, I'm curious to see whether they're just going in there to go for a pick or to actually go and steal the first buff, since all 5 members are here, including NWE on the top lane, Evil on the top lane.
To go for the blue buff early game. I wonder if they would. It would be really gutsy for them to go for the blue buff. But I think they can pull it off with like the CC and poke they have. They have a better level 1 comp at the moment than what a Rumble and a Leona, Annie, Maokai and Jinx can provide.
Yep, and I actually haven't quite seen, but if Annie did start her W and charged her stun up, it could be just as damaging for IgniteGaming, though, if they do end up taking the buff, because if Annie lands that particular solid bit of CC at the start, and if Rumble pretty much manages to catch up by the time they start up on the buff, the Flame Splitter plus W damage will do a fair bit. And the thing is, I feel it entirely comes down to the Morgana and how best the team follows up on her dark binding if she does land it on the target. So if it's quick enough, yes, okay, Ignite Gaming definitely win, and we'll even see FunkyTownMoneyPimps completely backing off and conceding their blue buff as well.
Yep, and definitely even if the Morgana lands a snare and she blows an enemy flash, that's also considered a win at the start of the game. Because an early flash blown is an early gang that's successful. Okay, so by the time the game resumes, let's go to the Twitch chat and see if we have any questions from our viewers. Zabardast asked, Varun, do you remember playing against Predators LeBlanc? What do you have to say to that?
Against who? Sorry?
Predators LeBlanc.
Yeah, well, okay, I guess I could tell you the story. I was an Orianna player for the longest time. I probably still am. I just haven't gone around to playing her much. But the community knows me as a big Orianna main player. And there was this custom game and a player who was formerly of Team Extreme and later was part of OG as well, called Predator, who was actually their jungler. But I heard that he also plays a lot of LeBlanc as well. And it was probably the most horrifying match of my life. In a span of 14 to 15 minutes, I died 8 times straight. Each time, the first time after a big fight, and 7 times continuously once I kept coming back to lane. So the bad memory that Zabata is digging up is pretty much that. That's all.
Hard times I've made. So we saw Morgana sending out the snare, slightly missing the enemy Maokai over, and a couple of deep wards being placed by the blue team, a couple of defensive wards being placed by the red team to avoid them stealing their buff.
Yeah, so like I predicted, it comes down to the Morgana landing the binding and how best her team can follow up. And if the binding misses in the first place, then they really don't have any more business staying there, really. And they would only be wasting their time if they do end up waiting for Morgana's bind to come back off cooldown. And that'll give them enough time for Rumble to make his way down to their own blue buff and help the team as well if they choose an extended team fight. So it's definitely a risk for Ignite Gaming.
Alright, so the red team starting romp and the blue team starting red buffs in their junglers respectively.
Kind of weird starts actually.
Yep, very.
But I don't know, like the red into wolves into blue is one jungling route that I've seen quite a lot, and wow, what a fight.
Big trade going around at bot lane, the bind just missing. Good damage coming into Kate and Jinx. Equal trade there.
And also when it's zoomed up in this top lane, this is what I'm talking about. Lulu has the capacity and ability to push Rumble out of lane completely in the early stages of the game if she keeps his poke up. And I'm fairly expecting her to do that, to zone out and pretty much end up a huge amount of CS ahead of the Rumble. But again, it's a race against the clock in the top lane for the Lulu right now. It's based on how much can she delay Rumble's item power spike, how much can he delay that Haunting Guys and Zhonya's Hourglass against the Rumble, so that you've prevented him from reaching his prime for that long. And his team is safe from the wrath of Rumble, pretty much.
Annie has DC mid, sorry to cut you off, but Loki's just getting...
Oh, wow, Annie is gone. Yes,
that's unfortunate, but that happens. Happens a lot, especially if you have an Indian ISP.
Actually, it's what makes it even more depressing is that she got killed by minions. So you feel helpless having mistakenly landed a Q and then watching her stand in one spot and seeing your minions kill her. It makes you want to sack those minions for being minions. But yeah.
So, let's focus on the bot lane till the game resumes. What I've noticed is a lot of trade going on between both the AD carries. So Caitlyn punishing the Jinx every time she comes to pick up a CS. Jinx using her W really well to land those skill shots on the Caitlyn and trade back with her and punish her back. Morgana's biнд's not really landing as of yet, so that's what's keeping the red team still in this bot lane at the moment. As soon as one of those binds land, though, it's going to be crucial for the blue team. It's going to give them that early lead that they need.
How long will it last? That's the thing, though. That's why the Jinx pick is risky in the early game. You see, against support like Morgana or even against enemy Leonas, even though you do manage to dodge all the time, dodge the binds up to like level 4 or level 5, you still are in trouble when you do get hit by one. So you either need to dodge them all or find a way to deal with the Morgana bindings or any Leona engage as a Jinx. So even though she has been missing binds up till now, she will pretty much completely have the opportunity to hit more and pretty much win. And wow, could this be the death?
Is that going to be it for Evolve?
Yes, it will. Wow.
Maokai going down, coming in the gang on top lane. Good counter gang by Highness. Seifo doing what he does best.
Indeed, very well caught there by Maokai, and wow, that's too reckless. Never mind. Looks like he knows better.
Evil out of mana. Is he going to stay? He's pushed up right now. I think this is a good time for him to back.
Not really, because the next wave hitting the immediate enemy minion that Death Vow is on will pretty much initiate a really effective freeze that will go in favor of the Rumble. So this is something that Evil does not really want and shouldn't really even be happening. Because right now he's just directly given an advantage to Death Vow in basically their failed gank and her spending mana that up to that point is pretty much bringing her down and is going against her. This is another very common problem for picking a mana-based mid against somebody who's resourceless like Rumble, because all he does is build up heat and his abilities don't particularly cost anything. So we're seeing that in effect here. The Lulu with low mana completely not being able to handle Rumble's eventual out-sustain anymore.
So basically what you're trying to get at is he's going to catch up in the CS that she's been like
denying him from, yes.
Yep.
And get a big XP advantage as well. Huge XP advantage.
Because of his unlimited sustain, he's going to get an XP, a CS advantage, and come out on top of the lane, which he wants to avoid at all costs, especially at the start of this game.
Yep, so because as I said, in a Lulu versus Rumble matchup, you're pretty much under a clock where until Rumble gets his 2 items to pretty much become the monster that he is, that we know and fear, it comes down to how long Lulu can delay, and basically she should make sure that her team has gotten enough objective and is ahead enough to deal with the Rumble so that they can handle the Rumble's damage, because it's an absolute value. Rumble's power spike that he gets from item is probably the best out of any champion in the game right now. And it's an absolute value that he will deal enough damage to completely decimate teams once he finishes his first 3 items. So if he continues to let this advantage slip by and doesn't address it or try to do much against it, she's gonna be in trouble later on.
At the moment, we see the blue team doing fairly well in CS compared to the red, with the Ezreal pulling in at 25 CS compared to the Annie's 11, and the Caitlyn coming in at a comfortable 27 compared to the Jinx's 15. So both these AP carry and AD carries are doing really fairly good in CS compared to the red team.
Except the mid lane though. Like the mid lane disparity seems to be very high.
It could result to somewhat being the Annie disconnecting during the start of the game, but
yeah, that too. Right, yes. I almost immediately forgot that she had DC, now that you mention it. But oh well. If she catches up in time, well and good. But right now, all the Annie has to do is pretty much build into her Morgananomicon. And since, well, DFC's don't, and wow, will this be a good gank?
Wow. Is this going to be a gank? Is this going to be a kill on Morgana? The exhaust coming in and the flash being used with the heal. Jinx focusing the Leona. Can't quite finish it off.
Wow, well done.
Highness is on point today. He's like counter ganking everything. He knows exactly where this Maokai is and he's there. to his
Not only
best
that, even
game.
Gunslinger was pretty much tenacious enough to continue hitting only the Leona out of all the other three targets that all the other two targets that were on her face, and she didn't even switch focus once, and shows how much they were probably communicating to take on the Leona before anyone else. And well, XG synergy, I guess.
Synergy, and it's also not cracking under pressure. They realized that the Maokai came to gank. It's 3v2 so far. Properly, J4 said, I'm coming in, guys. Morgana played it really well. She exhausted the Jinx. She played aggressive. She knew she had flash. She knew she had the Caitlyn's heal. She flashed out. Caitlyn going all in on that Leona and coming out with a kill for them. That was a great counter gang. Brilliant play by IgniteGaming there.
Yep.
J4 playing really aggressive, showing his dominance in this game, really shutting down this Maokai. He's going in for an invade on the Wolves.
Yeah, even though Maokai has had more minions, the Jarvan has been more effective at establishing presence and having good ganks in for his team before the Maokai could even do anything. So he's definitely still winning, despite Maokai pulling out a full clear and and pretty much taking camp after camp and trying to get ahead in levels. No matter how much XP he is, I mean, how far ahead in XP he is compared to Jarvan the Fourth, Highness himself has been much better as a jungler so far. Like up to this game, in the first 6 minutes, he's managed to pull off 2 continuous successful ganks, getting first blood at top lane and in this bot gank just now. So yeah, I mean, Highness is being a better jungler, even though Evil Wolf has fallen back and is pretty much doing what a Maokai can do best, that is trying to get ahead in levels. So
definitely, Highness is really showing his presence in the game so far and really putting Blue Team to the substantial lead it's at now with 3-0 and 2k goal lead. I also like to comment on the Rumble's build. He's gone for Magic Resist Oli versus Lulu. So that's going to help him further sustain in the lane. Not sure if it's an optimal first choice to buy, but it's not a bad one. And
yeah, exactly, because he's against the Lulu and he knows that the Lulu is pretty much going to poke, and oh my god, that is hell of a catch.
Way beyond enemy lines over there and getting punished for that.
Yep, no real fallout from his team, and his own bot lane could not respond because they had based, so can't really do much about that, no can he?
So yeah, so we were commenting on the communication from the blue team, but there certainly seemed to be some miscommunication with that invade there, the solo invade for Highness. So yep.
Yeah, and as I was saying, the reason for Rumble's Necron Cloak that he's bought is, I believe he's going for an Abyssal Scepter really early game, and it also makes sense because Lulu is the kind to pretty much whittle you down and pretty much finish you off eventually with Qs as she pushes the lane to your tower and pretty much gives you hell under your own tower. So it's a good countermeasure that he's actually going for the Abyssal Scepter. However, this also produces another thing. It's a pretty much a two-way, double-edged sword of sorts, because if he wins lane from here on, then he will have the item and then have the gold to build into his Seeker's Arm Guard and eventually a Haunting Guise and get his Leonard's Torment and Zhonya's. But if it doesn't, then he's pretty much stuck, and this is something that is very popularly known as itemization trapping, where you've pretty much kept him at the Abyssal Scepter with a delayed power spike for a very long time because you haven't been able to do much against the enemy top laner. So exactly. He's pretty much treading a thin line right now, treading a very fine line between staying relevant and hitting his stride, or pretty much stuck with an Abyssal Scepter for a very long time.
So he's focusing on the sustain, but not really getting his
on his own damage. Yes.
Yep. Subtle Crab being secured by Highness for the top side.
And oh my god, Rumble not quite gonna get collapsed on, is he?
Good flash coming in there, Rumble.
Oh my god, and a turnaround!
I think that may be a big mistake.
No. It's close, but not enough.
Can Ezreal finish this? He's flashed. Good out.
Oh, wow, he escapes. Not bad. Not bad. He escapes trophy, but will he live? Okay. What are those? Oh my god, a Jinx ult coming up to find either Lulu or the Jarvan. Will miss both of them. And Loki, the great escape.
Loki often finds himself in heaps of trouble, but somehow he manages to get himself out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, that Q, that random Q pretty much confused me. Like, from what he was trying, he definitely did see the Annie and the Maokai going for him from the bot lane, but from the mid lane, but oh well, he handled with it.
Pretty much bot is secured by Kate and Morgana right now. They're pushing in, making Jinx and Leona miss as much CS as they can.
Yeah, well, if bot lane pans out like this, if it's this much in favor of the Caitlyn Morgana over the Jinx Leona, then it probably doesn't even matter that Caitlyn was picked along with this kind of a team comp. Because as I discussed in Jam Select, I don't quite agree with the Caitlyn pick, because you really want those late game scaling AD carries, the Vaynes, the Kog'Maws, and probably even a Jinx yourself in this matter. But considering Jinx was taken by the enemy team, Caitlyn was picked after all. But if she does hit a stride early game, and if she pretty much becomes the mid-game beast that she is, then it pretty much wouldn't even matter, because you've delayed the Jinx for long enough that you will almost permanently outdamage her for a good portion of the game, unless she managed to get a really, really good team fight in and gets a double or a triple kill.
Right, and we see the blue team secure the first dragon at about 10 minutes, 59 seconds over there, and the Maokai coming in to check the dragon, sees it's been taken. J4 cataclysms him, and blue team unfortunate. They couldn't secure the kill on the Maokai, but they do get the first dragon of this game. So that puts them at a good lead, a good goal lead, and they're just snowballing each lane of these early kills and these early objectives.
And Rumble seems to have plans for the mid lane. Plans to die so far.
J4 always.
Oh yes. Plans to die indeed.
Definitely, my MVP so far for this game is definitely Highness, because he's been so on key with his J4.
Yeah, his pressure. He has been exerting the exact amount of pressure a J4 would do if he does get ahead. He's pretty much playing the perfect Jarvan the 4th that we've come to grow and love for teams and the people that do play Jarvan a lot. In the sense that he's also managed to get his counter jungling on point, and Maokai jungle, as we all know, is not really a strong duelist.
Oh, the Morgana's caught out, but her Black Shield. That's the beauty of the Black Shield. Never underestimate Black Shield, guys. It's the most important spell in this game.
Absolutely. If you know how to time it right, you can pretty much stop everything, but not that, because you're not even there.
Beautiful catch on the cape.
Oh yes, beautiful.
Rocket finishing it.
Oh, that was quite a flash, Leona. What's Highness thinking here?
ZQ by the Maokai.
Okay, I'm not quite sure what IgniteGaming are thinking here, because okay, they still disengage, so I guess it's okay, but that was awkward. That was really, really awkward for IgniteGaming.
Loki trying to snipe that blue buff. Unlucky there.
So yeah, the Maokai in his current state, yes, he did only die once and did pretty much catch the Jarvan the next time he got invaded, but Highness still needs to continue this, despite everything that has happened to him, despite the fact that he did get spotted out and caught out in the second time that he went into counter jungle. He needs to continue exerting this pressure, because the more you delay a Maokai, the more you delay pretty much their best frontline, because the Rumble is probably semi-tanky, but he still can't take a hit. He still can't take a huge amount of punishment as a Maokai would do. And even the Leona, we've mostly seen Leona's default to protecting backlines over playing frontline, and will this be a yes, it will. Wow.
That's a kill secure. Caitlyn coming in.
going only to her as well, even though the Javan could have gotten in a sneaky little assist with his flag, but he chose not to.
Yep. I really like how the blue team, they support the...
And oh yes!
A big gank.
Brilliant ganking if he didn't mess up the EQ there actually. Pretty much trapping the Rumble, forcing his flash out and then still getting to him anyway, which is pretty much...
Can we see a headshot? Is this rocket gonna hit?
No. This will mean the bot tower.
Meanwhile, Jinx doing her job, pushing in that bot turret, taking it out, getting some objective and map control for the red team.
Yep, and all the Jinx has to do is to pretty much wait, play the waiting game and try to get out. And wow, did she really hope to have a successful recall? Oh well, he will with quite the gutsy little position for recalling there, and will pretty much be looking for a gank.
Oh.
Yes, oh my god.
I think that might have just backfired for it.
That's a dead little pixie. That's a dead little face sorceress.
This Yordle went all the way home.
Yep, true. Indeed, she did. I mean, that recall spot by itself was cringeworthy, and like at best, I would have expected him to pretty much realize that Rumble may not teleport. In fact, he had the means to escape as well, because Lulu does have a really fairly long movement speed, very long duration escape in the form of increasing her movement speed, so she could have very well escaped from that, and she didn't even use that as well. She pretty much just did go back later, and this is a good catch on the Leona.
A good catch on the Leona. Meanwhile, the red team's trying to secure that top turret. They do manage to secure that. But is it going to cost them? Is the blue team going to capture tier 2 bot turret? Looks like it is.
So all... even though Monkey Town Funky Gaming.
Wow, that poke! Oh my god!
Ow!
So this poke comp is really paying off for the blue team with the Ezreal Caitlyn. They're just managing to do so much poke and pick off key players and key picks to seal objectives for this game.
Yeah, this is the comp. The comp by itself is pretty much flexible in this aspect in all stages of the game, except again, like this is again another place where the Caitlyn is kind of not really the best choice. But if the Caitlyn was supplemented by a Vayne or a Kog'Maw in its place, you pretty much have a comp that can adapt to the early, mid, and the late game in its own ways. So it's a very flexible and a very kind of an all-round team comp, if you will, with the champions to cover for both the early, mid, and the late game. The early and mid being in the form of the Jarvan and the Lulu, and the Ezreal, and the late game coming in as usually the Vayne or Kog.
And you know what I love about the blue team, Sadias, is that they know they're playing aggressive. They know they're in the lead right now, so they're aggressively warding so much, which helps them secure and capture like dragons, and just helps them move so fluently in the map, as compared to as the red team, they're stuck in their turtle kind of formation bubble where they can't really, make plays or even catch people out of bounds because they're just lacking in wards right now.
Yep, and another Jinx ult will not. Oh my god, that was so close!
So close. I don't even think the J4 expected that one. It was so close.
Wow, that's a very aggressive Lulu ult there. Okay, these guys are overstaying, but doesn't matter, I guess. They're overstaying, but they're far enough ahead that it's okay if they do. And Loki. Oh, that was quite a good flash, Loki. Oh man. That was quite a messy fight for IgniteGaming, even though it did go their way. It was definitely messy, and people just pretty much went around doing things on their own. Yes, it doesn't matter because they're ahead, and they could very well be doing it because they're ahead. Probably that. It's probably them just going all, yes, we have the damage, we can do whatever we like and still win. But yeah.
It's a classic case of overestimating and underestimating.
Yeah,
overestimating yourself and underestimating the enemy team. But somehow, through luck, I guess it
actually worked, yes. Well, as far as this, the Baron is going to spawn in like 25 seconds, so they will be looking to end this with either a Baron bait or a contested Baron into a big siege, which is the optimal way. Considering they have a Caitlyn, I'd seriously go for the second option that I pointed out. Just get Baron and go to either lane, probably the top lane, and pretty much look to end it from there.
So I've noticed that in most of the games I play, when you're ahead, doing Baron is really risky as to when you're behind, because do the rewards outweigh the risk here for the blue team to do Baron at the moment? Of course, they do have vision control, but is that enough?
Yeah, again, it comes down to the level advantage that they've pulled through, right? Like if you look at Highness's level 10, while Evil Wolf's level is about, hang on, 8 himself, and pretty much Loki is like 4 levels ahead. So they've got a good level advantage, and usually level 11 means you've already got your second level of ultimate. And granted, yes, they are facing a rumble, so but they have the means to get a pick off in the mid game so that they have access to Baron like this right now, like we see in the rumble. All it takes is a simple Lulu haste and a Jarvan's engage, which is actually going in. Wow.
He knows he's backed up by the Lulu ultimate, so he's feeling pretty confident there. But
that is overstaying.
Coming by the red team. Oh my god. So the blue team went in without their main ADC kit.
Yeah. Loki going completely man mode on this.
Loki going ham. Oh my god. I like to say Loki has been in such form this tournament. Him and his AD carry Gunslinger, they've both been playing exceptionally well.
Yeah, they've pretty much been filling up. They've been doing their part as carries really well up to this point of the tournament, I have to say. And again, in that fight, it did look like they were in the danger, but would it have changed if it were a fight for the Baron, is what you're saying. Like, when you look at whether the rewards outweigh the risks, and it definitely would, because right now, while their Caitlyn is ahead, it's best if they go for the siege onto a tower or onto a lane. So with this kind of team comp that they're running, and with the amount of coordination they've shown us so far, it would definitely be sound to go for a Baron at all and end the game right from
definitely.
there.
Good point there, Sudais. Because they are definitely a siege kind of comp at the moment because they're so ahead. So the Baron would definitely help them, and they've already secured so many dragons. So 3 more and like a Baron, it's GG for them.
Oh my god, that is... I'm not quite sure what the Rumble was even doing right there. But regardless, I mean, this looks to be the end for the FunkyTownMoneyPimps. People surrender over such absolutely horrible team fights, I have to say. At least in solo queue, in my elo, people will want to win. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, because I'm not quite sure what FunkyTownMoneyPimps were even doing, because their bot lane was behind and they were weakly going to contest a top tower. So my guess is they've broken. They've pretty much cracked. And really, it's not even over for them. Frankly, it's really not even over for them. Of course, right now, in this current state, it was.
Yep.
But oh man, I
just don't think they had a game plan for what they do when they fell behind. And they fell behind. And
the objective...
If you look at the Annie's inventory, she just completed a Rod of Ages, so that's like at 23 minutes. That's not good at all.
Yeah, the only plan, it was actually this match, the plan for FunkyTownMoneyPimps this match is actually fairly easy. It was just live through the early game, live through lanes, and your power in the mid to late game will completely see you through. You can pretty much put all of your faith and trust into the Jinx and Rumble to carry you through the team fights and kill them 2v5. Because that's the amount of power they're holding. But now they've just been denied that power by a long shot. They've been denied even their mid-game spike, let alone their late-game scaling. They've been denied their mid-game spike by a long shot through Highness's continuous invades and the constant picks that they got and the successful team fights that came through. So all they had to do was tenaciously hold it and tough it out, And I don't think they can manage to do that if they're going to play the team fights the way they did there, because their bot lane was below. Their bot lane was completely shoving the wave there, and the Rumble, the Maokai, and they're still went in. And
so aggressively right now, missing his out, but landing that Q. He's just 2v1 with Maokai and Jinx. Loki is playing like a god right now. Oh wow. The Rumble using his Arcus. Loki just seeing in and sealing the deal. Highness taking that kill there though.
And that's still only a Rumble at half of his true self, really, with just the Zhonya's. The Zhonya's is pretty much like 50% of what he really is, of what his power really is. But yeah, he's been misplaying this game from the start. Like, he hasn't really realized the need to play safe all game, and that's been pretty much costing him repeatedly, and it's why he's 3-7-2 really.
Loki finally going down.
And looks to be the end for actually, never mind, looks to be the end for IgniteGaming in the meantime, actually. Wow.
Being a little cocky there and pushing.
That's a triple kill. Will we see it? No, not quite.
The Caitlyn lurking behind the wall, just waiting for the Jinx to push it.
Oh, yes.
Wow, this Caitlyn, she just killed 2 people.
They are helpless. All are helpless in the face of Caitlyn right now.
Triple kill.
And that's it. That's the end. Okay. Well, it was the end of IgniteGaming except the Caitlyn. So currently Caitlyn is IgniteGaming. So IgniteGaming are not done yet.
You heard this first here on stream. Caitlyn is IgniteGaming. Gunslinger is IgniteGaming. And she's just ignoring Maokai's slaps to the face. Just subtle mosquito bites, and she's just gonna finish the game.
So that was just well, again.